What is up, Need for Speed Racers? It is I, your wheelman, Alex Cornnut, and we're here with the base builds. B, A plus, S, and S plus, all wrapped into one video just for you. So if you like the car, I've got the build, doesn't matter what class you want to roll it in. Nil started this series, he started building cars in every class, wanted to see what cars could be built in every class. And so we're back at it with round 2. Today we're running the Ferrari F40. This thing slays at A, it's really good at A plus, it's really good at S. S plus and B are the outliers. It does okay. You're probably not going to be running and winning against meta cars at those two classes, but the three in the middle, this thing is a shining star. So let's get it started, let's crack it off. Shout out to my man Unc RC. We call him Uncle Ray Ray. He's coming in with the beats for this particular build video, so thanks to him. He's been putting in a lot of work off scene for us, and I'm thankful for that. If you guys are interested, we're starting the blacklist real soon. On stream, we run blacklist racing all the time. Just dropped a video on that real recent. You might go check it out. We're going to be working on the format a little more, trying to get a little bit better edits for you guys, and then we're going to go live with it so everybody can participate. I'll say less, you build more. Let's dig into the car. So, for the B-Class Ferrari F40 1987, the engine that you are working with is the 3.6-liter V6. It is the basic iron motor, all the way to the left. 308 brake horsepower when we start. From there, you're going to go into your parts, and you're going to put in the basic iron induction. Basic iron ECU. Basic iron fuel system. Basic iron exhaust. Basic iron no turbo, naturally aspirated. You are going to put in the sport nitrous, which comes stock. So you literally do nothing. Equip the engine, put it in the car, call it a day. For the suspension, you have to run the elite regular suspension. The road won't fit, takes it out of the class. You got to run elite regular. For the brakes, silver pro regular brakes. For the tires, you need to run silver pro grip tires. It pains me to run this setup on this car, but it's the only way to put it into B class, making it a base build. So that's where we're at on this one, you guys. Basic clutch iron. Transmission 4-speed bronze sport. Differential basic. You can't slide the slider any further, it doesn't stay in the class. This is the only way to get it into B class, you guys. Auxiliaries, I didn't even run it. The car is not that good. I bring it to you because it's part of the theme, it's part of the series. If you want to run one car at all of the tiers, this is how you get the F40 into B. Do it if you love it, not because you're trying to just take all the playlists. It's not bad, but there's no cheese here. The car has 308 horsepower, 275 on the torque. We have other cars in B class that have 600 horsepower. This just can't hold a candle to them. When other cars have double the horsepower, even though this says it does 152, it takes a year and a half to get there, whereas the other cars will get to 130 immediately. So if you're looking for a good B class car, go grab yourself the RSR, go grab yourself the R34 Skyline, go grab yourself the Testarossa off the last base build video. All of those cars are slayers in B class. This is just to fit the theme, so I want to be very clear about that. But if you like to have an F40 and you want to have one at every class, this is the most optimal I could get and still keep it in B class. For the handling, very important, you guys. You cannot run it any higher than that. You've got to have it at 70% grip. So not full Beyonce, not even kind of Beyonce. We are 70% grip on this one. Steering sensitivity, you do you. Downforce, you have to run it all the way high. Have to run it all the way high. There is nowhere else you can put it. That will give you a B159 Ferrari F40. Top speed 152, maybe. 308 for your horsepower, 275 on your torque. Like I say, this car is to fit the theme. It's here. We can do it. We put it into B class, but this is kind of on par with like my Mazda Miata in B class that's not cheese. But anything else that is a cheese 130 mile per hour build will walk all over this car for sure. So just be aware of that, you guys. But nonetheless, we're here. Let's dig into where this car really starts to shine and move over to A. Alright, we're here at A class, and this car slaps at A class. You need to have one of these in your stable, period. Point blank, No questions asked. If you don't have an F40, you can't do the same kind of times that we as a crew can do. It is literally Ferrari F40, Ferrari Testarossa. Those two cars are the A-class dominators right now. Go get the Testarossa off the last base build I did last week, and then build this one for your short track. This thing handles like a dream. It will turn and do things in places that the other cars won't, and it will allow you to boost and grip turn just like nothing is happening with any other car. It's fantastic. Let's dig into the build. For the engine, same as before, we are running the 3.6 liter V6 308 when we start for the horsepower. For the parts, you get to put a Sport Bronze intake on it, induction. Basic iron ECU. Basic iron fuel system. Silver Pro exhaust. Sport Bronze Roots supercharger. That's what makes this car so good at this class. You throw that supercharger in there with this other combination, and this thing really starts to do things that the other cars don't. It accelerates very hard. It's a very lightweight car, and it turns really good. So build this one, you guys. If you don't have this car yet, I built this exact car and did a video a couple weeks ago, the record breaker. We broke a lot of crew records with it when we put it together. We're really happy with it. So if you don't have it yet, slam it. Sport Bronze nitrous. Elite Platinum road suspension. Silver Pro brakes. Elite Platinum grip tires. Iron Basic clutch. 4-speed Bronze Sport transmission. Differential doesn't matter in this one, you guys, because with those other parts already installed, it's already full grip, or at least you can make it full grip with the sliders, so don't spend your money here. Auxiliaries, nitrous grip, nitrous drift. It's what we use for micro drifting, and there's a couple corners where you'll do it in this car. A-class, this is a Slayer. For the handling, this is important. We are full Beyonce, full 100% to the left, to the left. Steering sensitivity, 2 clicks high. You're going to see that on every one of my cars, you guys. That's where I roll. Do what works good for you. Downforce all the way high, all the way high, all the way to the right. Slide the slider high, because anything else takes it out of the class. You got to have it all the way high if you want 100% grip, and you want 100% grip. Traction control off. Entry for drift is brake tab. That's going to give you the A209 record-breaking Ferrari F40 for us. Like I said, you guys, it's this or the Testarossa, so pick your poison. The Testarosa's got the legs, this one's got the handling. You need to have them both if you're going to be on my blacklist. R34 might get you by, but that's the only other car I'll accept. You can run whatever you want, you just won't win. Just so you know. Other than that, it's going to give you 388 for your horsepower, 337 for your torque. 152 top speed, and it hits it, and it does it. If this car even had 7 mile an hour faster, there would be no competition. This would be the hands down best car in A-class. But because the Testarosa's got a little longer legs, there's some speed tracks where the Testarossa slams. Keep that in mind. Let's move on to A+. This car's really good. We're halfway there. A+ F40. This car is great at A+. It is one of the best handling cars in the A+ class. It doesn't have the same acceleration as some of the other vehicles, but it turns the best. I think that this is probably the safest, sweetest spot for the F40. Personally, if it had another 5 mile an hour on it, it would be the ultra dominant car. But because other cars in the A+ class have a little longer legs, they tend to win on some of the playlists. But I think personally, this is the sweet spot for the Ferrari. It's got the right amount of horsepower and torque. It just turns really well. I mean, it's really good in A+, you guys. That doesn't mean that there's not better cars. The 1971 Skyline, pretty damn good in A+. The Testarossa, as we know, has got some of the highest top speed in A+. But for the racetrack and for some of the tight tracks, this is the king. It does very, very well. That's why I bring it to you. So let's dig in. Let me show you what I got. For the engine, you are running the second motor. It is the Sport Bronze 404 brake horsepower 3.0 i6. Second motor, you guys. For the parts, you are running Bronze Sport induction. You are running Bronze Sport ECU. You are running Elite Platinum fuel system. You are running bronze sport exhaust. You are running silver pro roots supercharger. Bronze sport nitrous. Elite platinum road suspension. Silver pro brakes. Elite platinum grip tires. Iron basic clutch. 4-speed bronze sport transmission. Don't worry about that differential, you guys. With the other grip parts we got on it, we don't need it. Auxiliary nitrous drift, nitrous grip. You will micro drift this car. It's perfect. If you don't micro drift, do nitrous grip, do draft, do near miss. Lots of other ways you can get that boost out there. That's the way to do it, you guys. For the handling, full Beyonce to the left, 100% grip. Steering sensitivity, 2 clicks to the right of center as I do. Downforce, you want to go all the way high, back it off 1. That is 269. Anything off of that is 270, so go all the way high, back down 1. This car does not struggle with grip in any way, shape, or form. You want to try to get as much speed out of it as you can and get there as quick as you can. So backing that downforce down is optimal in this case. If I could, I'd run it with no downforce because the car doesn't need it. But there's no way for me to do that and still keep it in the A+ class with these parts. So I will always defer to horsepower and torque before I start playing with my downforce. Traction control, off. Drift entry, brake tap. Those things won't change, you guys. That's going to give you the Ferrari F40 in A+, 269. Top speed, 164. Redline tech will get you to about 167, depending on how good you are with it. 506 horsepower, 525 on the torque. Like I say, this car is like the perfect balance of horsepower and torque. It's just so good in A+. I think that's where it's honestly the most comfortable. It does very well in S+, or excuse me, not S+, S, but I think that it loses a little bit of its handling characteristics when you cram all the power into it. And so at A+, it's really special. I like it. Let's move on and give you guys that S build. Alright, S-Class. Simgi challenges this week. This is the car I'm using for it, you guys. It's got some legs. It's quite fast. My build for the F40 is different than everybody else's. Mind you, this is the same as what I've already put on the channel, but like I say, some other people are doing superchargers. Everybody's got a little bit different style and blend they put to theirs. I think this car has no problem with this acceleration, so I'd rather have a little bit more on the top end of things, so that way we can walk down some of our opponents. Let's dig in. For the engine, you are running the third motor on this one. It is the 4.0 liter V8. For the parts, you are running Silver Pro induction. You're running Elite Platinum ECU. You are running Elite Platinum fuel system. You are running Super Gold exhaust. Elite Platinum single turbo. That's the way to go, you guys. All the rest of them knock you down a couple of overall top speed. Take about 4 out of it. And when you redline tech this, it does 205. So really it's 7, and it's really worth it, especially when you're running S. When we've got cars that'll do 210, 220, 230 in some cases, it's really important to be able to get up to that top speed and at least be cracking over 200 in S class. Don't get me wrong, there's some tracks you don't need it, but there's plenty of other playlists you do. Sport Bronze Nitrous. Elite Platinum Road Suspension. Pro Brakes Silver. Elite Platinum Grip Tires. Basic Iron Clutch. 4-speed transmission. Sport Bronze. Elite Platinum Differential. You can do the basic. Auxiliary nitrous grip, nitrous near miss. For the handling, full Beyonce to the left, to the left. Steering sensitivity, 2 clicks high. Downforce all the way high. It's the only place you'll get that car at 329. So run it all the way to the right, you guys. It's the only place the car will sit. Traction control off. Drift entry, brake tap. That's going to give you my version of the Ferrari F40 S329 202 top speed, 795 on the horsepower, 575 on the torque. This car is really good at S, you guys. It's a slayer. There's a couple of different builds that we have to do record times on blue collar, for example. But when you dip into like Rapid Transit or Fish Hook or any of these other tracks, this is the build we use because it's got the highest top speed and the most horsepower to back it. So very, very good way to go, you guys. Let's move on to the finale, the S+. All right. The best, the fastest, the quickest for last. Full transparency here. This car is not the greatest at S+. It does okay. You're going to beat people that don't know how to drive, especially if you don't crash. But it's no Regera. It doesn't really keep pace with the Ferrari FSXK Evo. So it's kind of a B tier S+ car. But regardless, the reason it can go from S+ all the way to B is what makes it a base build. So let me bring it to you, show you what we're doing with it. For the parts, it is Elite Platinum everything. The engine that you are running is the basic iron 3.6 liter V6 all the way to the left once again. We've tried the other motors in this car. They don't get to the high end like what we need here with this one. This gets you the most horsepower out of any of the motors. Even though it's the basic one, it's the best one. For the parts, like I said, Elite Platinum everything, it's S+. We can take out all the stops and go hardcore. So, Elite Platinum Induction. Elite Platinum ECU, Elite Platinum Fuel System, Elite Platinum Exhaust, Elite Platinum Roots Supercharger. Now, we tried this also with the turbo. When you run the turbo versus the supercharger, you're trading torque for horsepower, and to be honest, the issue that we have in S+ is around Big O and some of the other tracks, when you're turning, you're losing speed. We need that supercharger to try to keep the car in boost at all times, at all parts of the gear, and so I found that when I was running times on this, I was getting marginally better performance with the supercharger versus the single turbo. So keep that in mind. Run whatever you think is best. If you're a horsepower chaser and you want that number to be as high as possible, put in the single turbo. You'll be happy. Just don't do centrifugal because you'll regret it. Other than that, slaps. Elite Platinum nitrous bottle. Elite Platinum road suspension. Elite Platinum brakes. Elite Platinum grip tires. Elite Platinum clutch. Elite Platinum 6-speed. Now, it says that the 5-speed has 1 mile an hour faster. I deviate from that. I find that both these cars do the same top speed regardless of what that number says. I go to the 6-speed so you have more gear selection, more options to be in the power for some of the shorter tracks. It's just better to be in a 4th gear situation when you've got 6 to choose from than 4th gear when you've only got 5. That the gear ratios actually change with different transmissions in this car, and so having that extra gear kind of worked in there gives everything a little bit more adjustment, and overall for the short tracks it was better. At least that's what I found personally. You do you. You might try both, see what you like. I got one guy that likes to run it in the 4-speed. He thinks that's just sweet, so he doesn't have to shift hardly at all, and he just gets in it and goes. But once again, do whatever you guys think is best. In this case, I'm going with the 6-speed. You can run the basic differential. You don't need to upgrade it, but it's S+, and we're bougie here, so I went full elite on everything, you guys. That is going to give you the Ferrari F40 at S+. For the handling, on full grip, downforce is all the way low. At S+, you want to run your downforce as low as possible unless the car is uncontrollable, because we are trying to get to the top speed and stay there. Most of the cars suffer with staying at 230 plus, and when you have a car like the Regera that'll do 245, you kind of need to be able to stay at your top speed as much as possible, otherwise you have no chance of walking those cars down. Traction control off, brake tap for drift entry. Steering sensitivity, same as before, 2 clicks to the right. That is going to give you the Ferrari F40 S+, 400 plus, 232 for your top speed, 905 for the horsepower, 731 for the foot-pounds of torque. Now, we've gone through all the builds. You guys might have noticed something. in the parts portion, and I've talked about this before in the previous builds, you can change your engine, and it only changes intake through nitrous bottle. Those 6 options there, when you change the engine, are the only things that change in the car. These ones will stay if you have them purchased. So what I would recommend is, unless you want to have a Ferrari in every class, you might just want to try the Ferrari at every class. So do this instead if you're trying to save some money. Do not upgrade the brakes, leave them alone. Do not upgrade the clutch, leave it alone. Leave the car in the 4-speed transmission and leave the differential as basic. Now what you've done is we've put the chassis, the drivetrain, and the auxiliary are all going to be the same for every build except for B. So that's going to allow you to go build the A version with just changing the motor parts. It's going to allow you to build the A plus version by just changing the motor and the parts. So you can save some money on the chassis side of things without having to buy all those chassis parts over and over and over again. So then you're just buying motor parts and then adjusting the downforce and just the downforce really. So keep that in mind, you guys. You can go back and do that. Set your chassis once, just tweak the motors, and then you can still get into the base builds without having to spend a lot of extra money. Don't get me wrong, I'm all for it, but we're talking to buy the car and all the parts and all the engines for every class. Some of you may not financially recover from this venture. I know it was a grind for me, but I'm here to do it for you. It makes it fun and gives you guys a lot of different options for the builds. But because this is my S Plus car, I need to go in here and I need to go back to my Elite Platinum parts, because we bougie like that. Cornnut be bougie. Alright, you guys, that is gonna do it. Nil worked really hard on this. He likes, that's his favorite project these days, is to get a car and just build it in every class, every facet, because we've already built most of the cars to where the strengths are, but now it's like, can we put a car in every class and have it be viable at a handful of the classes? If yes, we'll get you a base build. And we've got a small number of cars that fit into that are pretty good. So keep an eye out. I'm going to have more of these coming. This is what you guys voted for on the poll that I put on my channel, so I'm thankful for you guys for giving me some feedback. Other than that, I am Alex Cornnut, your wheelman. Have a great rest of your day. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. I'd appreciate it. Helps me grow. Puts this video in front of more people that might want to see it. Come and join us on the Discord. Lacquered List Racing is soon to be open to the public. We'd love to have you along for that as well. Bye-bye.